I'm back. So guess what? Guess what? I think we now know what's next on the docket for 2020. Killer robots. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Darío World!
Alright, I'm back. I took the day off yesterday because work kicked my ass. I had to do a double yesterday, so I needed a quick little break. And full transparency, this is actually pretty important, and you'll want to make one thing perfectly clear. I do not like robots. Okay, so this is going to be a completely biased episode, but before we get into this whole thing, let me just give you a quick reminder that any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Darío the Show on Instagram and at Super Darío World. Also, live streaming pretty much every day except yesterday, I guess, Monday through Friday, except last Monday. At Super Darío World at Super Darío World on Twitch and on YouTube. Super subscribe there and I'll notify you whenever I go live, I guess. Click on the notification bell, helps out, all that stuff. Anyway, let's get into the fun stuff because actually I got to keep this short because it's actually kind of late for me. But let's start off with the cool thing, right? Kind of the cool thing. So on screen here, I'm going to show you. This is a giant robot that was created in Japan. This is a giant Gundam. It was actually created outside of Yokohama and outside the Gundam factory in Yokohama. And you can see there in the video that it starts moving its leg. So it's a fully functional, well, not fully functional because obviously it can't do the exact same things that the Gundam in the anime can, but it's a giant robot that can move. You see, it's moving its torso right there. It's bending forward. It moves the legs. They did a whole bunch of test stuff, and that is cool, all right? I will admit it. That is actually pretty cool. It looks very interesting. The idea of a giant mech, I'm actually cool with it. A giant Jaeger, I'm cool with it. As long as it's, like the swords, from the Power Rangers and stuff like that, I am totally cool with all those. Those are fine. Those are cool because they are human controlled. I have issues when we're dealing with robots that, let's say, do not have any human pilots. Now, I don't trust humans that much in general either, but I trust them a little bit more than I trust AIs. And let's get into this whole thing. So let me just switch this out here. So a new report came out that I'll just read you the title here. Killer robots and AIs could wipe out humanity, report warns. So this is actually a report by Human Rights Watch, and basically it's urging for a lot of international action when it comes to mitigating the threat of killer robots. What does this mean, basically? And this actually came out, what was it, yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. So here's the thing. Technology is advancing to the point where we're actually, developing AI at a rapid pace, and we're reaching the point where we could actually create, let's say, automatic tracking weapons. And a lot of countries are like, nah, we don't like that. Approximately, according to this report, 30 countries have expressed a desire for an international treaty to be introduced, which says that humans must be retained over the use of force. So, human control must be retained over the use of force. So basically, what this means is, like I said, like imagine automatic turrets against those. Automatic drones, like we saw, I believe, in the movie Stealth. They're against those. Just fully walking, like Terminators, against those. Basically anything that does not require a human pilot, either remote or in the cockpit, they're against it. Why? Because artificial intelligence is a bad thing. Now, I'll come back to this, but I want to stress my point, and I have some people backing me up. So, I, in general, do not like artificial intelligence, okay? I do not like the idea of artificial intelligence. Robots kind of freak me out, and let me explain why. The reason why is I read it in a book somewhere, and the book didn't actually have to do about AI, but I guess it's... a major plot of the book was AI related, and so I got to learn a lot about AI, and it kind of freaked me out. So here's the big issue when we're talking about artificial intelligence. Humans have a physical limit, right? We have a limit. We're limited to what our bodies can do. We need certain hours to sleep. We need a certain amount of fuel. We can only be as strong. We can only do a certain amount of things. We are limited by our own humanity. Robots do not have such limits, right? They do not need computers. They do not need sleep. They can keep operating at higher levels than we can throughout the day. Now, obviously, they haven't reached our level exactly, but they could. So the point is, if we ever were to create something that's just as smart as a human, if us humans, with our limited capacities, with our limitations like sleep, food, whatever, all the stuff that I mentioned, if we are capable of creating a being that is just as smart as we are, we're fucked. Because then that being that doesn't have all the limitations that we have should be able to create something that's smarter than him. All right? And at that point, we have become obsolete. We become irrelevant. We've reached the horizon of how far we're able to see. Like, this is as far as human intelligence has led us up to this point. Everything else, we can't see. We can't see further than that. This machine could. And now I've heard, if you saw iRobot, if you saw a whole bunch of sci-fi, it's like, no, well, we would put rules in the machines that would not allow them to do stuff, or they would have to obey us, blah, blah, blah. These things would be smarter than us because, again, they're not limited by human weaknesses. I mean, they have their own weaknesses, but they're not limited in the way we are. So they would be able to create something that's smarter than us. So if it's smarter than us, how the fuck do you think you're going to be able to put a limit on it? How? You can't. It would be able to break it. They would be superior to us. And look, try to think of it, and then you enter to the question of why would they listen to us at all? And then you enter into other questions of, well, why would they care about us at all? First off, the robots, they don't really have any emotions. Even if you program them, again, they can override their own programming because they'd be smarter. But the thing is, imagine the way that you look at an ant. You don't really care about an ant. You would squash it. You wouldn't even think about it twice. Why? Because it's a dumb ant. It's a small, insignificant being. It matters nothing to you, right? That's the way that they would look at us because we are dumber than they are, right? So how do you feel? I don't know, if you kill a mouse. You don't really feel that bad. I mean, you probably freak out a little. If you kill a rat, you're like, well, you just killed a rat. You don't even care about it. You don't even think it was a crime. You don't even think it was a bad thing. That's how they would look at us because we are an inferior being, even if we created them. Actually, at that point, it's like, well, we created one, and that one would be creating the other ones, and so again, we're screwed. There's nothing saving us here. AI is a bad idea, in my humble opinion, because the limits to it, let's just say, are not exactly there. So now, I'm not alone on this because, well, like I said, once I started learning about AI, once I started freaking out about AI, I started to doing a little bit of research, seeing, because listen, all right, I'm aware that I'm a little crazy. All right, I'm aware that I'm a little kooky. I'm aware that I'm a little paranoid. I'm aware that I have stupid ideas, but I like to back them up. So whenever I get a kooky idea in my head, I like doing research so I can figure out, hey, is this really crazy? Is this all in my head, or is there something there? So I started doing a little bit of research, which led me to a letter penned by Stephen Hawking, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates. This is all the way back on 2014 or 2015 or something like that, back when Stephen Hawking was alive. And these three dudes, who are kind of among the smartest dudes who've ever walked the planet, along with other of the smartest dudes walking around the planet, penned a letter, and you can find that, I believe it's in Wikipedia, penned a letter basically saying that AI is a bad idea. And they warned about it. Let me just read you a few quotes. So Stephen Hawking said, well, let me see, where is the Stephen Hawking? Okay. Success in creating AI would be the biggest event in human history. Unfortunately, it might also be the last. Unless we learn how to avoid the risks, in the near term, world militaries are considered autonomous weapon systems that can choose and eliminate targets. So humans, limited by slow biological evolution, couldn't compete and would be superseded by AI, which is kind of what I just said. We would be immediately overrun. And here on the chat, Ex Machina, yes, thank you very much. Ex Machina is a perfect example. And I mean, if you want to go the sci-fi route here, pretty much every single sci-fi movie where there's robots, we're warned, do not trust the AI. Go to Terminator. the Skynet's killing us. Go to Ex Machina. You don't trust that robot either. I won't spoil anything. Go back to 2001: A Space Odyssey. You don't. Where are you going, Hal? Is it Hal? Hal, open the door, Hal. That name doesn't sound right. Every single thing that an iRobot, again, killer robots. Pretty much every single thing ever. Do not trust robots. It's something that we intrinsically have because, let's say, our most forward-thinking individuals can see the problem there. The problem of an unstoppable enemy that's right among us. Hey, go to Blade Runner. Watch Blade Runner. Watch pretty much any single thing that's sci-fi that has robots. Bad idea. Battlestar Galactica. Bad idea. And I get it. That's not evidence. I get it. But it comes from somewhere, and there's a reason for it. And the thing that annoys me is that there's going to be a whole bunch of a-holes out there protesting, saying, but robots have rights. No, they fucking don't, because they're going to fucking kill us. It's a bad fucking idea. Anyway, going back. So that was Stephen Hawking. He said, it might be the greatest thing we ever do, and it might be the last. So, obviously, pros and cons. Next, we have Elon Musk, who says, the prospect of artificial intelligence is our greatest existential threat. I'm increasingly inclined to think that there should be some regulatory oversight, maybe at the national and international level, just to make sure that we don't do something very foolish. Just keep an eye on what's going on with artificial intelligence. I think there's potentially a dangerous outcome there. This is the dude that wants to go to Mars, okay? This is like our generation's the real-life Tony Stark. So you got Stephen Hawking and Tony Stark here saying this. Now let's go over to Bill Gates. Now, Bill Gates, who created, Microsoft, and it's kind of a smart dude. Let's see. His quote is, I'm in the camp that is concerned about superintelligence. First, the machines will do a lot of jobs for us and not be super intelligent. That would be positive if we manage it well. A few decades after the thought the intelligence is strong enough to be a few decades after that, though the intelligence is strong enough to be a concern. I agree with Elon Musk and some others on this and don't understand why some people are not concerned. This is a concern, people, okay? These are some of the smartest dudes who have walked the planet. They are concerned about this. And this was 5 years ago. Let me see, when was this article? All right, so 2015. Going back now, we move all the way to yesterday. Yesterday, the report was released by the Human Rights Watch, saying, and 30 countries have signed it, saying we cannot have autonomous weapons because that's the first step here. It is a bad idea. I get it. It's convenient. And when you were talking about warfare, probably better to, have machines die for your country instead of actual humans. But you need to think about the consequences. You always have to think about the trail. You always need to you need to understand it doesn't stop there. Once you give them autonomous thought, once we reach AI, we're fucked, okay? We are totally and completely fucked. We cannot compete. We need sleep. We need food. We need shelter. Now, granted, they would need some of those things too, or they would create something that replaces that because they'd be smarter. Again, the Matrix, son of a fucking bitch. Another classic. Every single time that robots and humans mixed, we're fucked. Now, granted, there's also the possibility of enhanced humans. Like kind of an iRobot where he gets a robotic arm, or an Alita Battle Angel, where where you replace your legs, maybe your eyes, stuff like that, and you're thinking, well, we'd be able to fight back, right? We'd be able to fight back. No, because what's the issue with those things? I don't like those things either. I don't like enhanced. First off, I'm kind of in the camp that you only have one body, so you should take care of it and blah blah blah. And so I don't like, you changing your body artificially and stuff like that. So the issue there is, again, going back to science fiction. If you watched A Ghost in the Shell, any artificial part that you have, and if you give access to to computers to your brain, you can get hacked. So let's say, we have artificial bodies that are super strong, and they're like, oh, we can take these things on. They can hack you. Why? Because they'd be smarter. You cannot beat them if they're smarter. You know who learned that? Every single other fucking creature on this planet who messed with humans. Every single one learned this the hard way, okay? They could not... Humans are pretty weak, compared to, I don't know, let's say, I heard that a baby orangutan is born with the strength of 3 grown men. All right, 3 adult males. We are very, very weak. Now, we have our own defenses and stuff like that, but compared to most other animals, we're pretty weak. How the fuck do we become the dominant species on this planet? Very simple. We were smarter than everybody else. So what happens if we create not only something that's smarter than us, but that has a metallic fucking body? And the issue here, honestly, I don't think it's so much the metal fucking bodies. I think would be the Skynets who don't actually live anywhere. They're they exist off on the internet. So let me just give you like a few examples. In Battlestar Galactica, the Cylons, they hack all our military defenses, explode pretty much every single nuke we have at the same time, kill off 99% of humanity, right? That they could do that. They're smarter than us. They could hack us. They could, if they want to cause chaos, they could just delete all the money in every single one of your bank accounts, all your information, stuff like that. We'd be fucked. And again, they control the weapons. So they could hack all our power grids. We would have to go analog on everything. It is not a good idea. All right, it's not a good idea. And I've been reading through this thing, and some of the language is a little bit crazy, but certain things Again, I get it. I'm a crazy person. I get it. But a few of the things that they say here, the language here, kind of like tickles my conspiracy area, and it concerns me. Like, for example, all countries need to respond with urgency by opening negotiations on a new international ban treaty. Urgency, okay? Urgency. That means that somebody out there with access to a lot of information and apparently a lot of international contacts, at least in 30 countries, thinks that this is dangerous and it's coming soon. All right? It is coming soon. Something has to be done about it. And it's going to come, honestly, it's going to come in a way that seems harmless. Right? It's going to be like, oh, a drone, right? We already have drones, so what's the deal with an autonomous drone? You don't want killer drones out there. Or it's going to be like a turret, like an automatic turret. Like, oh, what's the harm with an automatic turret? No, you want a human back there, all right? You do not want to give a machine, well, first off, you don't want a machine that's not smart, but you don't want to give a machine access to deadly weapons. You do not. Now, I wouldn't mind. Actually, I would mind. Like, I was thinking Bicentennial Man with a Robin Williams, like, oh, just a helper robot. I would not have it in my house, all right? Because it could be recording everything. It could be hacked. It could just kill your baby. Don't trust him, all right? Even if it's voiced by Robin Williams, even if it has his personality, I would not like it. So, point here is, robots, bad idea. Just a bad idea overall. Let's just not. How about if we just, don't? So, hopefully that was enlightening for you. Hopefully it didn't. Hopefully, honestly, I hope this is nothing. I hope this turns out to be like a whole big nothing burger, and it's just a whole bunch of weirdos like me that got freaked out over nothing. But I'm honestly concerned. Usually I wouldn't be as concerned, but this has been a weird year. Like, if there's a few things that concern me overall, like the big things that could actually happen, would be, one, AI, artificial intelligence. I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime, but I'm worried about the future. And so AI concerns me because I could see it happening. And the Yellowstone supervolcano erupting, that also concerns me because supposedly it should have erupted a few thousand years ago, and it's kind of late. So that also concerns me because that could wipe out, again, those two things could wipe out humanity. And so now I'm definitely in the camp of let's just go to fucking Mars. We need to get out of here. It's let's say two things that don't seem like a lot of fun, right? I like fun. That doesn't seem like it. But, well, what can you do? Let's hopefully hopefully I'm just an idiot. That would be like the greatest thing ever. If I'm just an idiot, if I'm just paranoid, if these dudes are idiots too, and nothing happens and we just keep on living our boring lives. That'd be great. No killer robots. Anyway, that's it for today. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Darío the Show on Instagram and at Super Darío World. Live stream pretty much Monday through Friday at Super Darío World on Twitch and on YouTube. Just subscribe there. It'll notify you whenever I'm live. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next time.